Alright, hey friends, so today we are doing a mandala flower, and it's only just a half of one, so we don't have to worry about a whole paper over here. So today all we need is paper, a pencil, you can do a Sharpie, you can do a drawing pen, whatever works for you, and then something yellow. I'm using this super marker that's this really pretty sunny kind of a yellow. For the flower petals, you can technically do this in any color. You don't have to do yellow. I like sunflowers. They're my favorite flowers, so I'm mimicking that. And just to help show you guys, I'm going to keep with the same design that I have on here already. To me, I like this one. It's easy. It covers enough. But here's just some examples so you can see. Here is a coloring book. So if you were, let's say, cut this in half, and you'd only be doing this half up here, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You've got just swirling lines, you can do like small flowers on the inside, whatever you want to do. You can just do random shapes, shapes inside shapes, that works as well, just to help covering space. And remember, you're only doing half of one, so you're not worrying about doing an entire one to then have to color it in. We're doing ours just in black and white. If you want to color yours in, you're more than welcome to. I'm not worrying about that today. I like the contrast of the black and white with the bright yellow and then the very open spaced background. So with that, we're going to put our picture here just so I can keep an eye on it, and I can go with the same pattern. I don't really want to do anything too different. So I have my paper, and I'm right-handed, so sometimes I can only do things a certain way. So I'm drawing a half circle. So I want to kind of turn my paper sideways like this, so that way I can just start putting in a half circle. So doing these really light strokes and then using the rotation within my wrist to try to get a decent half circle. So I like this side. So we're going to just pull this out a little bit more over here and then start bringing it down some there. So let's see. So I like to do this main circle on the outside, and then I'm going to go through and make the spaces for the sections inside as well. Just doing another line just so I have my spacing and I know what I want to do. Just because I do a line doesn't mean that it has to be closed off like this. So right here where you can see the leaf pattern that I have, I did do curved lines instead of going with the straight line. This is just to help give you a guiding line, just so you know what to do, and not just so you have like your spacing the way it's supposed to be. So looking at it this way, my circle is really messed up. So I'm just going to use this view and return it back in over here, and that looks good. Alright, so I've got my main outside line. That looks pretty good to me. And now I'm going to start working my way in. I like doing it this way just because it helps, so I know how far I actually need to go and how many items inside this mandala that I need to do. Right, so there's one. I'm not going to worry about doing double lines like how we have this space in here and same as here, because I'll just draw that in when I do the pen work after. I'm going to draw everything out first with the pencil, because to me that's easier instead of just sitting here and trying to plan out with a Sharpie. You can erase a Sharpie, but you could erase a pencil. So just to make it easier for us, not have to overthink this and work too hard, because remember, art's supposed to be fun, not so stressful. Okay. Alrighty, so I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're gonna make this one a little thinner. I don't need the spaces to all be equal sizes. There's nothing wrong with that. Just do what feels comfortable to you. So So like as I was saying, I'm a righty, so for me this is easier to do these circle lines sideways versus trying to figure it out this way or drawing it even the other way. This works for me. So remember, even if it's just your surface, you can rotate it, do whatever makes it comfortable for you. Whatever is easiest, my friends. We're gonna actually bring this one up some. I want to make that one a little bit bigger. So again, I'm redrawing a different line. Since I want the space slightly wider than when I drew it. Okay. And then I'm going to definitely do, I like doing that center spot really dark. So this one's going to be, this center part right here is going to be black. Alright, so I've got my spacings for how I want it to go. And now it's just filling in the inside with what we want it to be. I kind of still want that like flower in the center here. So we're just going to have petals. So you don't have to push very, very hard. Try to make each thing the same size. That's the main thing. Main size, same height. You don't want this to be, you don't want them to be completely different. That'll just be really hard to handle. So my favorite thing out of this entire drawing is this zigzag pattern. I love that. So if you want to do something like that, just take your time and I like just pick one point. So I'm going to start here at this line closest to us, and I'm just going to draw a small triangle and then a second triangle just above it. Like so. We're trying to keep everything to where it's pretty even. You know what? To redo that. I don't quite like that. Okay, so I remember how I did this now. So we're actually going to do one main zigzag line all the way through and then do our triangles in the inside. So we're just going to go right from that center. And we're just going to do one big V like this. And then just keep making that same V all the way around. So now that we've got those triangles, we can work through the other side. Alright. And this goes back over. That goes down. Okay. So now that we've got that main zigzag line, now we just make smaller V's on the inside. Like so. So these are all just about, this is like the prettiest form almost of doodling and just finding whatever works for you. I like doing lines. I like making like leaves and those kind of shapes. I even threw some hearts in there just to help cover some space. It's whatever feels right to you. You don't have to take too long for these. It's pretty much just getting your shapes in there, because remember we are going to go over this with a Sharpie. Sharpie or a drawing pen, whatever you have, both will work. So I kind of like the ones on the inside are smaller and the ones on the outside are slightly larger. that totally works for me. This doesn't have to be completely uniform, because basically right now it technically is, since the outside ones are larger and those inside ones are a little thinner. So I am going to make, just because I want to do it this way, I want to cut off those lines a bit. So I'm making a second circle, half a circle inside there, and I'm going to, that's going to be another dividing line between those sections. So when I erase this, that space in between will be white, because there won't be any pencil there, but then everything else will be black where it needs to be. So next I'm definitely going to do those leaves. Those are my favorite. All right. And then remember, we're not coloring anything in, so this part's black and this part's black, but we're not worrying about coloring it in, because we're going to do it with a Sharpie anyways. So next is those leaves. Just going to try and make an even shape. I'm just going to keep rotating this paper, because to me that is easier than trying to maneuver my hand around. If they're not all exactly perfect, it is okay. Looks pretty good. Now working the other way. And again, I'm just going to keep rotating that paper. Alright, so I'm not going to do any of the detail parts in the inside. If you want to, since I know they're going to be leaves, all I'm doing is just a slight line down the center and then a few stem lines coming off the side. I'm going to do each of those the same way. Let's see, just to help take up some more space, I'm going to do that same little line in that section. But before I do that, I'm going to do the curved line to that half circle line, so that way I already know what it's going to look like. So I'm just putting in like a slight curved line in between the tip end of all of those leaves. Alright friends, so I'm going to also add in here I'm just going to do this other curved line just on the other side of that curved line, just to help put in a little extra line work in here. Remember guys, this is yours, so you can pretty much do this however you want. If you just want to outline everything, you can. If you want things colored in, you can. That is up to you. I like the different sections that having more line work and then blacken them or You don't even actually have to use a black Sharpie. You could honestly use any colored marker. I just like the contrast of the black with the yellow. Alright, so I've got those shapes in there. Next, I'm going to do hearts. So this is just a little tip just to help. So if you can see on my pre-done piece, for where the hearts are, the heart is in between two of those slight curved lines, so that's what makes it's like barricade almost. So I am going to draw lines going out towards the second to last half circle line. So we're just gonna, that way this just makes the barrier for that next section. So you can use your pre-done sections just to help give you what your measurements are. That way everything roughly has the same space. All right, so I think I am gonna do hearts still, just because. And hearts are kind of easy, you know, it's just a regular heart. I'm only going to do the outside line. I'm not going to worry about the inside line. I will do that with Sharpie when I get there. So just going to keep rotating this. I'm trying to make sure that that center dimple of the heart falls in between this middle section of each of those curved lines where the leaves are. And I want it to hit the top line for the most part, and then hit their barricade line as well. So we're just going to keep rotating. Remember, you don't have to press super hard. Sometimes it's easier just to do a drawing, like just go for it. Don't sit there and do little lines, because sometimes it's harder to put the pencil or the pen even back down where you picked it up from. Right. So again, I'm not worrying about that second line in there. I'll just do that with Sharpie. I do want another one of those white barricade lines going in between those circles, so I'm going to do a smaller space in between that heart and that last section. Work all the way around. So last section here before we can start using our Sharpie is, I love these. It almost looks like peas in a pod. This part, all it is just like an almond shape. And then we're going to do two slightly curved lines in the center and then a circle in the middle of that. So hopefully those circles all fall within the same line, giving more enhancement to that rounded shape. Okay, so we're just going to go for it. So I'm not going to worry about the curved lines in the center. All I'm doing is just the almond shape on the outside. Because you never know, maybe I'll do this part and be like, you know what, I don't want it, and we don't have to do any of those extra lines in there if we don't want to. So that's why I'm not filling in everything completely, because we can change our minds for this. We don't have to do it exactly how we drew it. And you can do these as detailed as you want. If you want more ideas, look online. There's a bunch of different types of styles of these kind of drawings, and they're really fun just to honestly look at, even if you if you need help, I usually need help when I do these. I always need a little extra push in figuring out how to do them. But they're a fun way just to draw and not have to think too much about what you're doing, especially after you get done with the drawing part with the Sharpie or the drawing pen, whatever you want to use. It's very absent-minded. You can just go for it and enjoy the process. Before I start doing the Sharpie, I will show you guys another trick just to help with these. Sometimes we need an extra guiding line, and there's a couple tricks actually that will help that. So I will show you guys. We're almost done here with this pencil work. Alright, so I'm just going to put my drawing right up there, actually right here, so that way we can also see. So we've done our half circle and we've done all of our main shapes in the inside for where we want them. So just to show you guys an example of a way to help you if you need a bit more guiding lines, I only did half circle lines and went from there. But if you need a little extra help with your spacing and you're very particular and you want it to look a specific way, this is a really good trick. So if you have a ruler will definitely help because you've got the measurements, the different measurements on the lines for like inches or whichever one yours reads. So let's say we have our, I'm just gonna go with the full circle, that'll be easier. So let's say we have our full circle and then this is our center point. Sometimes I'm only gonna do about half of this. So if you need extra lines, let's say that's the edge of the paper, like how ours is. You can find your center, do a center line, and then break up that section into two as well. And then keep breaking it up into even sections if you need that extra help. So you can pretty much do this as many sections as you want. So let's say I need more than what I've already drawn. You can literally just keep breaking up all those sections, depending on how detailed you want this to be or how intricate. And then from there, you can do your other guiding lines. Let's pretend those are perfect circles. And then from there, you can draw what your spaces are. So that way it makes everything very even and very uniform. That's the main thing, is trying to make this uniform, but if it's not, it's okay. This is just a good example for those who need that extra hand in helping. And if you're very particular and you're wanting everything to be exactly in the right spot, this is a really good tool to use. Remember, you can use a ruler as well. A ruler will definitely help. It'll keep your lines nice and straight and even. Alright, so back to our drawing. So we no longer need the pencil. So now we are at the Sharpie. I'm going to do the same thing as I did before, work my way out from the center. So I'm just going to start tracing some lines here. We've got that center circle, and then the flower petals on the inside. Remember guys, you can do this with any kind of pen. It can be a regular ballpoint pen, a Sharpie, a drawing pen. If that's what you have, feel free to use what you got. And then you can use, I have a super marker for the outside part, but you can use just another colored pen if you want. If you've got washable markers, that'll work perfectly fine. Whatever works for you. So I'm just going to start coloring in. This is the part when you're starting to color in that might take the longest, but depending on the size tip of your pen that you've got, that'll definitely help. Alright, so I'm going to do this outside circle here as well. And especially if you're coloring something in, I definitely recommend a pen that's not losing its ink, because that's the worst when you go to start doing something and then the pen dies and you gotta go find another one. That's always my problem. I use my drawing pen so often that I have to buy them in bulk practically, I feel like, especially certain sizes. Alright, so I've got that outside section, and then just to give a little something else in these little flower petals, I'm just going to put a nice little swirl line coming from the center. And again, these are uniform, so it's all coming from the same side, moving in the same direction as well. Alright friends, so we're gonna keep going with this. So I like to do the outside line before doing the center part, so that way at least I just know what is done and what is, and how far the lines need to go. So I'm going to use this Sharpie, just kind of trace it as best I can. Sometimes, like right now, my hand is shaking for some reason. Don't know why. But we can easily fix that. We'll just color it in black after. So again, see, I kind of messed up a little bit, and I wanted that line originally just to be nice and white, but that's okay, it won't be. So now all we have to do is just follow in those zigzag lines exactly where we place them. Alright, and then we can trace in the inside parts and color in that center triangle. I like doing it that way just because it gives it a nice look, and it helps make it a little different. That way it's not just zigzag lines and triangles. Okay, I'm just going to color in this line here since I messed up. We'll just color it in. That way we can't even tell that it was messed up. So again, this is why I don't usually fill in certain things, like where the leaves are. I didn't fill in their design, because you never know, maybe I'll change my mind. I don't want them to look like leaves on the inside. Oh, and fun fact, if you guys are doing this with a Sharpie, make sure to have a second paper underneath, because it does bleed through. If you're doing this like on your mom's table, you don't want her to be mad at you. Alright, so I'm just going to follow in with the leaf line first. Alright, and let's do the curved line up top. Alright, I'm going to do these little U's that are on the inside. And I think I am going to color in that inside part in between the leaves black. Alright, and the leaves, I think I'm going to keep them looking like leaves. So they're just going to have a center line and then two little squigglies coming out from that line. Very uniform, nothing fancy. Alright, and then we're just coloring in the small space in between the leaves. Try to not color on top of your leaves. That part is staying white with that black line. Just take your time with this part. Don't need to go super fast. It's gonna get done anyways. You want this to look nice and clean as best you can. And something that's nice at least about Sharpie. Sharpie kind of dries pretty quickly, so you can do your line, and if your hand rubs up on it later on, it won't smudge. So I even messed up on that curved line a little bit. I did not make them all the same. Some did come out more than others. That is all right. Nearly done with this part. Coloring in is what takes the longest, honestly. So I'm trying not to do too much of it. This is really the only part that's colored in for this mandala. Right, the last little bit. I thought it looks pretty good so far, so we're going to do the same thing with our heart section. We're going to follow the first line and then do the inside line. So I'm trying to make sure that this is as nice of a line as possible, because I do not want this one colored in. And then the line in the center. Right, so we're going to do our dividing lines first for those barriers. And again, those come from every other leaf section. Alright, and now it's just our hearts. So I'm doing the one that I have drawn out, and I'm doing a smaller one on the inside, like so. And that's all I'm doing for this section. I'm not coloring anything in. Alright, last three. Okay, last section here, guys. So remember, you don't have to do these exactly the same. If you wanted to just leave it an outline, you can leave it an outline. If you wanted to color in more, feel free. It is up to you. Alright, so now I'm going to go in those little almond shaped drawings that we've got in here. Right, so I'm going to finish tracing the ones on the other side, and then we'll do the detail lines on the inside, and then we can move on to the petals, and then we're done. So my lines are no longer on what I drew. That's just because I'm trying to keep the same size between them, because I guess I did not make them, when I drew them with the pencil, I didn't draw them the same width, but now they're pretty uniform, which is okay. Alright, so last but not least, I'm going to go through and do those two curved lines and the circle in the center. I'm going to do the curved lines first, 'cause that's easier. We're going from one end of the shape to the other. We don't want it to come short or go past. And now for the circle. So the circle is just going to be a small circle in the center where they're all touching. I'm just going to work our way around. Take your time on this part. If you need to just draw it in with the pencil, feel free, and then trace over it. For me, I think this is a small enough circle I didn't need to do it, which right now it's coming out pretty good. So I don't want these circles to be any bigger than what the almond shape is. Granted, some of them are smaller than others, that is okay. One. Alright, friends, so we are done with the Sharpie. I'm going to take my eraser real quick and erase these pencil lines first. So I'm just going to do a generic petal shape for the sunflower petals. I'm not going to worry about drawing them in because it's that yellow marker. I feel like it's going to be too hard to cover the pencil or even erase it after. I'm just not going to worry about it. We're going to wing it. Alright, that looks pretty good to me. Alright friends, last but not least, I'm going to use this. The super marker has a fat side. See? Has a fat side and a thin pointed side. I'm going to use this side because I don't want these petals to be super thick. So all I'm doing is just coming from the side of this circle, and we're just drawing in these petal shapes first. So I like to go around, do the ones that are just freestanding that are up front, and then I like to fill it in after. Trying to make them all the same size. For me, that's sometimes the hardest part. So let's see. Let's say we've got a small one coming from there, and then a little bit of one poking out through the center. We're just going to go all the way around, fill this in. We're just going to put one through here too. I'm just going to have one coming off the paper there. Alright. And you can make these as fill as you want them to be. I don't need them to be super dense, but just to have enough just to give a good look for the outside. So one thing we're going to do before we do our straight lines going through, for a few of them, we're going to do this small line here on where the curve is just to help, and then color it in so that way it looks like if the petal is kind of turned over somewhat in that area. So all I'm doing is just going to pick a few and just draw that extra little shape going through them. And you can pick which side you want. Either side is perfectly fine. This doesn't have to be on all of them. Just pick a few. This is just to help give this petal part just some push. Give it some extra detail. Alright, let's do one more over here. Make it somewhat even. Alright, so once we are done with this part, all we're going to do is just take our marker and we're just going to do straight, relatively even lines as best we can. It could be kind of curved. Mine are kind of curving. That's perfectly fine. Just going through each petal like so. And then we are done. I'm just going to finish this off, guys, and then we are done with this Facebook Live. Remember, you can do this in different colors. You don't have to do this in yellow. Sunflowers are just my favorite, so I chose that. This would probably look really cool in like a jewel tone purple. I feel like that'd be kind of fun. You could even do green if you wanted to. There. Finish off the other side and we are done. Alright, last three. This part's not supposed to be too difficult. We just want something in these petals just to help give them some extra push, since we've got all these awesome design here in the center part of the flower. Last one, my friends. And that is it. So once you finish with your petals, you are officially done. I can't wait to see what these look like. Feel free to tag us if you post them on Facebook or Instagram. Definitely want to see them, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day and have fun making art. Bye.